Today I have Riteeka with me. She's an international student here in Canada, and I thought let's talk to Riteeka and find out how is living in Canada for an international student. And Riteeka has been kind enough. She took little time off her work, slot in between work and college, and we are now in a beautiful location. I'll show you the surrounding. It's a nice public park. We found some quiet corner here up the stairs, and thought that that's the best place to sit down and talk about her experience as an international student. Now, just to give you a basic understanding, stick to till the end of it, because you will have a lot of information. You will get a lot of value out of this interview, and I'm sure that a lot of people who are looking to come to Canada as an international student, studying in for different programs or so, will find it much valuable. Okay, we'll try to cover almost as much aspects as we possibly can, but the time is limited and we have to stick to our basic set of questions, which I have already drafted a set, and believe it or not, this is not shared. My set of questions are not been shared in advance with Riteeka. So let's start the interview. Hello Riteeka, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I am so happy to have you. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is mine, of course.
Right, so what I have it here, a set of questions, which obviously you don't know about that.
Yes, sir.
What I would suggest that before we jump onto these questions, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Who is Riteeka? Where she is from, and how long she's been in Canada, what she's studying, and what did you do in your home country?
All right. So my name is Riteeka, and I'm from Nepal. So I am studying Bachelor's of Hospitality Management in a reputed college here in Surrey, that is Western Community College. So
it's Western Community College.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's a well-reputed college in Surrey here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's got 6 of its branches in all over BC, and not only that, it has more of educational opportunities for people like me willing to learn, explore, and dive into this this enthusiastic field of hospitality.
Oh wow!
And that is. And as per your questions, it's just been a year or so, but it just feels like I came yesterday to Canada. So time flies by so soon. We're in like such of a country filled with culture and beautiful places and wonderful people, of course. Yes, and back in my home, I was an IELTS instructor. So
IELTS instructor.
Yes, I was.
So that must have helped you in understanding the actual true level of IELTS qualification.
Of course it did, but mostly what I loved about being an IELTS instructor was that the passion for teaching, I would say, mostly, because you get to understand not only what your students offer, but also what you just get to see another angle of the question or problem, like they present to you, and you feel like, oh, this can be also interpreted that way. I'd never thought about that. So that is one of the ways that I really loved about teaching. Yes.
Wonderful. So, and if I ask, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from the capital of Nepal, that is Kathmandu. Yes.
All right.
It's a wonderful city filled with culture.
I've heard a lot about Kathmandu and Nepal overall.
Yeah.
It's places full of mountains,
yes,
waterfalls.
Yes, it is.
Natural beauty, unspoiled yet.
Yes. A very, very charming country and wonderful people. Mostly when people hear Nepal, they just think it's all about momo.
Yeah, I was about to say that the famous food is momo, but I'm sure there must be a lot more than that.
Of course, they have this one set of people, that is, they belong to this caste Newars. They have the Newari culture, and you must try that. They've got a wonderful cuisine in itself. Like they've got, if I name that will be pretty much different for you to hear. That is, they have yamari, choila, and many meat and other products. I would love if you would join me when I go back home once and just try those platter. Of
Nepal
course.
is on my bucket list for
Of
sure.
course, it should be, yes.
And we can connect.
Of course, when
I
we go,
plan.
yeah, of
Yep.
course.
Right, Riteeka, thank you very much for a wonderful introduction. Now I think is the time to jump into the questions I
Sure.
have for you.
Sure.
Now, the first question is, what did actually motivate you to choose Canada for your studies?
Well, if you want me to be honest, there's an interesting story why I chose Canada. And I just feel sometimes it's very funny. But I'll just tell you how. When I was pretty much young, 7, 8 years old, I first heard the song of Justin Bieber. If you know Justin Bieber is.
Yeah, of course.
So I was so much infatuated by him that I wanted to marry him. And I thought that I would have to go to Canada to marry him. And that is
my
when
God.
Canada became my dream country.
So it was Justin Bieber's crush brought you
Yeah,
Canada.
that's how. But then later on, years later, I completed my studies. I was academically good. And then I decided that I should go out of my country because Nepal is definitely a wonderful country, but you have to go out of your comfort zone to get the best of, to unleash your potential. So
course.
yes, and I searched all the countries, but like every other countries, like I searched maybe United States, I did research to Australia and stuff like that, but I just found Canada to be the best because of also the program I was pursuing, hospitality management, with the land of so many cultures and wonderful people. I thought that this country would provide me the best, and guess what, it is
And
living up to
good
it.
thing is that I mean, the whole Canada, I love it.
Yes,
I
sir.
lived almost 2 decades in England, and about 10 years ago when I moved to Canada. Canada has always been one of our favorite holiday destinations when we were living in England as well. But at the same time, I must say the whole country is beautiful.
Of course.
More specifically, the British Columbian province, this one where we are.
Yes.
This is considered as the gem of the country's beauty.
Of course.
We have a lot of mountains, we
Right.
have lakes, we have waterfalls, we have natural beauty like
Of course.
there's no tomorrow. So I think it's somehow that little girl's crush
course.
on Justin
Yeah.
Bieber
Yeah.
stayed on
Of
and
course it did.
brought you to Justin Bieber's home country.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Even I did look to, like, because he belonged to, like, as we were talking about Justin Bieber, he belonged to Toronto, but not many colleges, like, there are definitely good colleges, but I had to be in the best. So I just came here, looked for, like, good colleges in BC, and Western Community College popped on the top, right?
Oh,
so I
right.
had to be on the best one. So I came in here, and I am enjoying my college life. It is providing me the best, and I just love it, to be honest.
Fantastic. And I think, as I mentioned earlier as well, that I've been living here for nearly 9 years, a little more than that. Western Community College has been at the forefront of almost all the community activities.
Of course.
In terms of launching new programs, being innovating, so many new fields for international and local students at the same time. So they're doing really well in their community, and especially as if we consider some of the very few top colleges in the whole province. Possibly Western Community would
You're
come
always at the
right
top.
on the top
Of
somewhere.
course.
Good one, thank you. And you mentioned that you're studying hospitality. Why specifically hospitality management program?
Because when I was, again, like everything, they say that the child is the father of a man. Whatever you have in childhood, that shapes you to your adulthood, right?
Yep.
And this has been one of the quotation that sticks to me to this day. And when I was young, my mother, she always garnered so much attention for her beautiful cooking. And I used to watch, like, because she has wonderful cooking skills. As I told you, not only Newari platter, but you have to try my mom's cooking too when you come to Nepal.
Definitely.
Of course, so yes, and also that thing that my mother was praised for, and also watching this shows like MasterChef or like Nailed It, like these kind of shows always inspired me to be in one of these fields. But also I wanted to be the person like chopping off, like, the vegetables, or like gardening praises in the national television, but also I wanted to be a person with code and do the managerial duty. So like going on, like my sister suggested me, why don't you choose hospitality? It provides you everything. Almost in the world, 9 out of 10 jobs are in hospitality. Be a manager, be a accountant, or play with numbers, go to sales, or serve the customers. Do anything you want to in hospitality. That is
even
what
for trades, like you can work in a engineering or maintenance department.
Of
There
course.
is endless opportunities in a
Definitely.
hotel, even just one unit, and you could find like 15 17 16 17 of different departments where you can work according to your choices.
That's amazing, because it has endless opportunity, as you say, and that is what has also inspired me to be in this field.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, so my next question I'm going to fire is how has the academic environment in Canada compared to your expectations, or if you like to compare it with your home country, Nepal?
Of course, I would say that there have been a lot of changes, because what we have in Nepal, or I don't know how in Asia, Nepal, India, and almost like Pakistan and the states or the countries we have is we have full time. Like for me, when I went to school or college, it used to be like 5 days a week. But here you don't do that. It's just 2 days a week, and rest you work, right? So it has been like in my country, I would consider it to be a lot hectic and mostly theory based, and you don't have much of practical stuff. But here you have more of practical exposure. You go into field. For example, in my first semester, our hospitality teacher, he took us to the field trips to hotels, right? And he just tried to explain things. These things, they worked in such of the way, and I believe that is one of the best things you can do.
Absolutely.
You learn by doing. But back in my home country, you just learn by learning only, right? Just the theoretical aspect.
In the classroom only,
of course.
And there is no practical side or the experiential side of your learning process.
Or it's very little to know, I would say. But here you get more of practicals, and you get more of the. And one thing I also loved about in my college where I'm studying, they have got guest lectures from the people who've tried doing things and they've succeeded, for example, from hotels, from entrepreneurial side, and that's so amazing to learn from people. You don't need to go anywhere else to search for inspirations. And that's very beautiful, that I loved about the culture or the learning side here.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Exactly.
And as you mentioned that here the studies can be 2 days or so, depending on how many courses you have taken in that particular term.
Yes, sir.
It could be 3 days. You could just run into like 4 days.
Of course.
Just maybe one class a day for 2 to 3 hours, and that's it. But I like what you said, that over here the difference is that it's not just the lecture-based education system. Here we emphasize more on the practical side, and we give the opportunity to the students that they taste the real thing by visiting hotels or restaurants or other places like that. And wonderful, wonderful. So now the next one is, what are the biggest challenges you have now? This could be a tricky one, I know, Riteeka, but as an international student, or even as an immigrant, when we are in a new place, it's everything different. Everything is new to us. The people, the environment, the lifestyle, the culture, the food, even the place where I come from originally, as you know, I'm from Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
And the driving side is also different.
It was difficult,
It wasn't that much difference when I was in England, because we drive the same side of the road. But over here, it is totally different.
Yes, sir.
So there's so many things which set apart each other, countries and cultures. What was the challenges, you could like to share with the audience here?
Many, I would say, of course, many, as in you firstly, I don't know if it counts as challenge, but homesickness.
Oh yes,
I don't know if that's a challenge.
A challenge, I must say.
Of course, because you got to be one moment you're crying in bus because you're missing your family, and next moment you have to smile because you got a presentation to give, right? So, and next moment even you might have to cover a shift and talk to customers, but you can't be having tears in your eyes.
Absolutely.
So it's a challenge to hide your emotions and be be realistic and be practical. Another challenge would be, I would say, mostly when my sisters, they went to Europe, they found the challenge of always having bread and not getting to eat rice or something like that. But for me, I'm very lucky. I live in Surrey, so a lot of Indian and Nepalese restaurants.
Surrey is referred as mini India, or mini Punjab, to be more precise.
Yeah, and you don't have like the difficulty finding food or stuff like that, because you got Riteeka or Big Bazaar, you get everything you want to. So it's not a challenge. But personally, another challenge would be again juggling between your work and your study thing, because you have to also have money to afford your bills. That's why you gotta go work, and or else you also have to maintain your grades and also studying, because it's very exciting, to be honest. It's not a pressure that you've paid, you have to study. It's not like that. It's like, I want to be someone, that's why I have to study. And that's also, you have to be engaging in that part, and that is a challenge again. Another challenge is when I was pretty much new in here, it was finding a job currently, because of the current crisis, I would say, in Canada. Too much difficult when you find the right job.
You mentioned that you came like a year ago.
Yes, sir.
And obviously that was the time when, in general, but more specifically, our hotel industry was reopening and reawakening, I must say. So post-COVID situation was there. We have had a very bad, patch of 2 years as an industry as a whole. And I would like to hear a little more about that, because a person from the industry and listening your challenges, sitting on the other side, and maybe struggle is different than what we think the students are struggling. So let's talk about that.
Finding a job, of course. All right, so of course, we had the general idea we have to find a job, because I would say that the rent here is pretty much expensive, and that accounts to the biggest portion or the chunk of
housing is a big issue.
Of course it is. Even when sharing a room, you wouldn't with someone, you wouldn't get it below $500.
That's right. So, and yet you're compromising your privacy.
Of course, that is true, and you have many fights, of course, because you don't really
know the
person. They don't.
What's their background? How they like,
too much of our liking, and they are just like, many things. It even just gives me today as well, it's difficult when I remember that. But finding a job, of course, I would say you that there was none of the place I just didn't go. One day go Langley with a bunch of CVs, next day go Metrotown, and then another you go even Lohit Town Central, or I used to just look at the train. They have the list of the stations, right?
And then hopping off.
One day Columbia, then the next day you go New West, and then next you go Edmonds. So that way we just went on. I guess it still took me.
And how long did it take you to hop on, hop off stations of the metro train or bus stops before you finally landed in your first job?
It was 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
So viewers, here you see a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, and I'm sure Riteeka may not have mentioned that, but I can understand that there must be some evenings when she went home with aching legs,
of course,
frustrated brain, and possibly tears in her eyes as well. That what the hell I'm doing here? But I'm glad, and the good thing is that you did not give up.
Of course, so there was no choice.
3 months, here she is. Now we'll come to her current work as well, but the struggle behind landing in the first job, and especially when the time was difficult overall, post-COVID situation, soon after the COVID was over, and the whole job market was opening up slowly and gradually, and in that the struggle was definitely worth it. So tell us now your first job.
All right, sir. My first job is still I'm doing that, because I have a lot of attachment to the environment and to the people.
So you developed an emotional connection with. I can believe that.
Which I do think is pretty much wrong, because you can't be attached to a thing like that, because it has to be changing so that you can grow in life, right?
It's good to have a cross exposure, but developing an emotional bond with your workplace, it's also good in that sense that then it shows how committed you are towards this place, which has given you the first opportunity when nobody else was actually, ready to do that.
It's
So
also a
that's
sense
good.
of gratefulness, as you
Absolutely,
mentioned.
absolutely.
Of course, I worked as a cashier, and it's in a food court. It's in a food court, though I have to travel about still. That is, I have to travel 1.5 hours when you use the transit, change 3 trains and a bus, land to Coquitlam.
3 trains and a
And a
bus
bus.
and an hour and a half one way.
Of course.
So it means if you have, say, 6 hours of shift,
Yeah, that's
3 hours are gone into traveling
of
alone.
course.
And guys, look at this. Now, if a girl who is new in the country, who can do all those things, what is stopping you? My question to you is. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, sir. So yes, as I mentioned it. So there are some days where I do feel like, oh, I can't do this because you do an 8-hour shift standing. There's no way you can sit because. Like this is pretty much shocking. I would say that even in jobs like this, back in my home, I can see people chilling when they're doing jobs like I do.
Yeah.
They're sitting in a chair, they're chilling when there are no people, but not in here. And I wouldn't say it's bad because obviously you're getting paid per hour, right? So even I wouldn't want to do that because of, again, the gratefulness also, and also that it's your work, you have to do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
A
Plus, it's your commitment that
Exactly.
this is your job and you have to do it, and why not to do it in the best way?
That's right.
Yep.
Exactly. You mean it. So that is how. And some days when I do a long shift, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. When you're in the station to get to a train, I'm like, oh, there's still 1.5 hours. I can't do this. And you have to be changing trains and buses, and you don't know when another train is coming. In winters, it's being delayed.
I was about to ask that. Have you seen the winter here?
Of course, I did.
Okay, so you have commuted.
Yes.
In the snow, in the rain,
Of course.
with sometimes minus temperature.
Yeah, I did. Just have
Good
more
one.
clothes on and get good shoes.
Yeah,
And inform your workplace that I might be a bit late. Just don't. Yeah.
at least you'll
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
I think this is an amazing lesson to learn. Sometimes when we look sitting in like country Nepal or Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, those countries, what we call it developing countries. When we are sitting there and look at the west side or the developed countries, the development didn't just come overnight. And it wasn't a miracle. It was not like somebody had a magic wand and from one evening this country was a developing country like our countries, and you just wave the wand and next morning it's a developed country. Look at this, money is everywhere on the trees. Trees still have leaves over here, guys. We have to convert those leaves into dollars, and that requires hard work. Living example is right in front of you.
It is.
So let's now talk about work-life balance. How's the life here, and especially as an international student? I can understand you have to make sure that your college attendance is up to
Yeah.
mark. You don't miss any classes or anything, and no matter what the weather is, whether it's
Yeah.
snowing or raining or 35-40 degrees temperature or whatever, then you have to work as well, because as an international student, I believe you're still allowed to work 20 hours a week.
Yeah, just 20 hours. Yeah.
20, so you cannot work more than that.
No.
And you can't afford to miss any shift as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. It's
And commuting like 3 hours back and forth is not easy, guys. It really gives me chill. And most importantly, your social circle.
yes, sir.
Right, keeping these 3 things in good balance. How do you manage all this?
Well, it's very difficult again. As you said, not missing neither of either attendance or your work shift. If you miss work, again, as I said earlier, you can't afford your bills, right? You have to calculate like, okay, I'm not missing an 8-hour shift. I'm missing maybe my phone bill, or maybe my college fees. I'm sacrificing
Also, you
that.
have to relate those
Yeah,
shifts. Like I make, say, $200 a shift, and that could be half of my room rent.
Yeah, that is how you do it. And that's also one of the motivation that you get, that okay, I shouldn't do this. I'm like waking up with pain in back because you're standing long hours.
Yeah.
Your feet, they feel like they will fall. Like it's so much of pain, but still you'd feel like, no, you can't do this because you have to pay fees.
You have to.
Or sometimes,
put yourself together.
Of course, you have your family member's birthday. Say my mom's birthday. I have to give her a surprise now because still I'm earning. So it's just not that they expect, but you feel this inside of your heart that why don't I send a present? Because when you were back in your home, you'd bring her a cake, you'd give her gifts, whatever she liked, the bangles or the salwar kameez, whatever she liked. So why not now?
Not to give her the feeling that my daughter is thousands of miles away.
Yeah, of course. So that's also many things you have to do. So you can't afford to miss any of the shifts whenever they call. Even like sometimes they put random shifts as well, right? It's just not always the same kind of things. Even like tomorrow you've got any plans. For example, you said social circle. Okay, tomorrow you've got plans with girls that okay, we are going not anywhere far, but okay, nearby place so that we could have a quality time.
Just to unwind yourself a little bit.
Of course, but even you have to cancel those so that you could cover your shifts.
That's one of the reasons, and sometimes you have to cancel because there is less money in the pocket.
Of course,
right?
you have to be like,
and then
no,
you
I'm
make
not
excuses,
hungry. Of course.
I don't feel good today, maybe next weekend, and by next weekend you'll get your paycheck.
Exactly, always happens. Always happens.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think these are the realities of life.
Course.
And all these moments, rather than taking them negatively or as bigger things in our life, or keep it all the time stressing us, we should take it as moments where we are capturing memories here.
Of course.
And when few years down the line in future, when you are successful, I must say, and settled in life, and you look back, you can tell that to yourself even that, hey, it was hard.
But you made it.
It was a struggle.
Yeah.
It was, painstaking moments, restless nights, but it was worth it.
It was, yeah.
Right? So I think this is a good message, because success and glory doesn't just come by doing nothing. You have to earn it. These are the things, and this is the way you are investing in yourself, basically.
That is right.
Good, thank you. And now a difficult question.
Of course.
Because you only are allowed to work part-time, which is like 20 hours a week. Now, you have to pay the rent.
Yes.
Even you are in a room share or home share arrangement, whatever. Then you have to pay your transportation cost.
Of course.
Your groceries for the week or for the month. Then of course your fee.
Of course.
Now, it's up to you whether you like to answer that or you want to keep quiet on this question. But how do you manage all this with 20 hours of work?
To be honest, it's very much difficult and very pressing. Just is just not for like nothing. Just is very less. Like 20 hours is pretty much less. But I would say that it's also that in your breaks, for example, now as the term ends, 20 days you get to work full time, right? So in that time, like in those two of before the start of your term and like after the end of your term, you get to do some 40 hours.
So there's a gap of like a couple of weeks?
Yeah, about
and
3 weeks.
In that gap, you are allowed officially to work full
40
time.
hours, yes, sir.
So a little compensation comes from that side.
That is kind of a relief, but not totally. Still, as I mentioned, and as you mentioned earlier, you can't just always plan like to go out or somewhere because you don't have, your pocket is pretty much low. So something like that, you compromise on most of the things, right? Just to get in the place you want to be. But it is difficult. It's not like just as we see, it's not pretty much easy, but you just have to mostly settle on the things and just subtract somewhere and add somewhere else. Basic maths in life.
So it means that you do not you can manage the things if you manage money sensibly.
Yes.
And you do not have to ask money or funds from, hey mom, I'm broke, I need some money. Right?
Yeah, of course. As you mentioned, this is also a situation like in some of my friends, like who are working just 5 hours or 6 hours. Even when we are able or allowed to work 20 hours. They're just given shifts for 5 hours a week, which is terrible. They just can only afford rent. So that's why they're just this morning my friend messaged me that, hey, my money has not been yet transferred to the bank here, they sent from Nepal. So these are real situations. If you are not even allowed to work or you're not getting proper shifts, it is, again, it's like so
and
much difficult.
I hope that your employer do understand these things.
Yes.
And when you are allowed to work full time, like 40 hours a week, your employer gives you those many hours?
Yeah, they do. Like
You
in
see?
my case, this thing is also why I have an emotional attachment to the workplace,
right.
because my employer is amazing.
Excuse me, yeah.
They understand me. They understand that they're always like, we understand the struggles of the students and this, so it must be difficult for you, and they're very much cooperative in such
Wonderful,
senses.
wonderful.
Because every term you'll have different days of your school, and that is how you have to change your work days too. So they understand. They are always like, oh yes, your school comes first. It's not about work, it's about school. So they understand that.
Wonderful.
And that's one thing I'm so grateful. Even though I found job late, I found one of the best ones.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, jumping straight to the next one, because as I mentioned in the beginning, I have a list of questions drafted for her. I don't know how much difficulty I'm putting you in, Tad.
Of course not.
But whatever I have, in front of me, I have to ask.
Of course, sir.
Now, what do you think? This is another good question, guys, and this is for you, especially sitting outside Canada and possibly thinking to come to Canada as an international student. This is quite relevant question. I mean, I know all the other questions are quite relevant, but this one is also quite close to your heart, maybe. What do you think about the work opportunities for international students in particular in Canada now?
Yes.
And especially once you graduate?
I do believe that the opportunities right now, because of the hour restriction, that just being able to work 20 hours, it's pretty much difficult that you find a good job. Like, it is one of the major reasons I didn't find job like in my initial time, in compared to the roommates who had their full-time availability. So they were very quick to find jobs, but I, because of my 20-hour restriction, didn't find it easily. So I would believe that after I graduate, there will be again as endless opportunity as the industry has, and also because of my hours availability, I'd get more of opportunity then too. And in compared to today, I'll get maybe better positions, because now you have to also settle for whatever you have. Like, it's like you take it or leave it. Because they'll get any of the employees, but I wouldn't get a good employer, or I wouldn't get a good job, right?
True.
So that is why I'd have to settle now. But maybe after, when I graduate, I'm very hopeful, and I'm pretty much sure that I'll get a good job that matches my qualification and all that justifies, that brings justice to all the struggle I'm doing and I've done in my
I'm sure,
this time.
because I think once you complete your studies and you finally graduate, you will have fulfilled two things, the basic things, to land into a good job. Number one, Canadian experience.
Yes, sir.
That's very important, guys, that if you are new in the country and you're looking for a job of your choice, you go apply places, the first thing they would ask is, do you have any Canadian experience?
That's right.
Right? And second most important element you will fulfill by then is Canadian qualification.
That's right too.
That's also very important. So when you have fulfilled both of these requirements, the basic requirements, I must say, Canadian education and Canadian work experience, then of course there will be many more doors opening for you at that time. And studying hospitality program, and I believe you are in a bachelor's program?
Yes, it is, sir. Yeah.
Good. So, and that is like 3 years?
Yes, sir. 3 years.
3 years program. So once you graduate, do you think that BC in particular and Canada as a whole will have a good job waiting for you?
I mean, of course, yes. because when you have the right qualifications, and when I just travel downtown, I can see, I don't see the buildings, I don't see Hyatt, I don't see Marriott, I just see my dreams here.
Wow.
They're standing there. I feel like they're waiting for me.
These are the places.
Of course. where I
One
have to
day
be.
I will be there.
Of course. Always regarded like higher, like skyscrapers or like good commercial buildings as my dreams, and I know I'm going for them right now. I am investing in myself, as you have told me, and yes, I am definitely aiming those places, and they will be ready, of course, because a skilled person would definitely be an asset, just not to the place where, to the institution they study from, but also where they're aiming to, they want to work to.
Absolutely.
And those places with open arms will definitely welcome us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I believe
Wonderful.
that is
Wonderful. So guys, during studies, after you graduate from your programs, yes, the job opportunities are there, okay? So don't get disappointed or get carried away with those kind of challenges when you hear from people. Stay positive and do your best. Now, another one is, how have you found the cost of, we did talk about that a little bit, the cost of living as compared to Nepal.
Of course, like it's
Where is the comparison?
there's no comparison at all.
Okay.
Because Nepal is way cheaper in anything you do. Like, I mean, I must say here, I don't know how many of people do feel this, but whenever I landed here, from a bottle of water to any things I purchased, to rice maybe, you just compare the prices, you just convert it. Like a bottle of water, no way I'm just investing 100 rupees. In my country it'll be rupees. It'll just be a 20 rupees bottle for water, right? So no way I'm doing that, because it'll give you a shock that I'm wasting. You feel like not investing or buying, you feel like wasting. So I wouldn't do that.
Absolutely.
So it was pretty much difficult for me, like juggling or just balancing these things too. And I used to call mom immediately. Mom, I bought this. See, tomatoes. You would just fight for 80 rupees kilo tomato. Here I'm like buying it for 600 or like $6, something like that. And always say her things like that. So it's pretty much I would say it's shocking. And it's also, now I'm pretty much used to it, and it's like, okay, fine, because you're earning finally.
You earn in dollars and you're spending dollars.
Of course.
I think this is natural when you are new to a place. Your auto converter is triggered on.
Always it's on.
Yeah. So you always converting dollars into rupees and your currency and so on to have a comparison. And a lot of times we make a mistake in not enjoying those early days by just keep converting the cost
and
of the
you always
things.
stress that, oh, I'm going to waste this money if I do this.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, I must share this, that in my initial days, because you wouldn't have like whatever funds you bring, it's also like it's depleting, it's decreasing, right? So there would be some days that you'd go hungry because you don't want to spend money, and then again, if you don't have money, you have to call your parents, and you don't want to give them extra burden.
True.
And I believe that this is a story with everyone, because when I was in my home Nepal, people used to, there would be some Facebook page that they would put some confessions and they would say that, okay, today I only had the biscuits I brought from home because I don't have money, or I don't want to waste money in grocery. So these are the real things I face too. I don't want to go to like restaurants or buy grocery because that's fine, I have limited money, I'm not going to do that. So these are the things, of course.
But once you are out of that
financial burden,
then you start feeling normal, basically.
Because
you have a satisfaction. Okay, if I'm spending dollars, which is maybe few times more than my local currency back home, but at the same time I'm earning in dollars.
Of course. That is one of the consolations
because,
you give to yourself.
If we talk about the minimum wage here, I think it's around $16 or $17 an hour.
Nowadays, $17.41 something.
$17.40, so nearly $17.50.
Something.
So just comparing it, we do not get this kind of wage, hourly rate or hourly wage back home in our country. So that makes sense as well. Coming to my cultural adaptation side.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here is a interesting question for you. How have you adjusted to Canadian culture and lifestyle? What do you think about that?
To be honest, again, living in Surrey has not given me much of culture shock.
Okay.
Which is, to be honest,
Makes sense.
very much comforting. You don't feel like you've left home. The moment I stepped to Canada, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna like adjust, because you're in airport and you see a lot of like
Asian
yeah,
faces around, yeah.
and different people. You just like pretty much like you're anxious. Okay, now this is exactly where reality is hitting you. You're finally in that place. You're no more in your mama's lap. Like you don't have your dad being like, okay, I'm gonna send you funds. Nothing like that, right? So now reality is here, and I was like, okay, anxious. But the moment I came Surrey, like this is a place you're living. Okay, I'm welcomed by the people of my own country, because we have more of Nepalese girls living in our basement.
I'm sure there is a good strength of Nepalese students
Yeah,
here.
of course.
Yep.
And now that visa regulations had been loosened when the time I came, a lot of Nepalese did come. So in my college as well, like everywhere you go, every corner you're hit with like you just stumble upon
Nepalese students.
Nepalese students. So you just feel like home or college. You feel like, oh, I'm here. Like it just feels like you're in a hostel when I'm in my home. It feels like I'm in hostel. I'm talking to mom in like I'm doing FaceTime. So it's just like pretty much natural. So it's just not much difficult. But coming to work again, because my employers, they are Canadian, so you just don't understand most of the ways they're talking to, not because just of the accent, but I would believe that they use more of Canadian slangs, right? And most of the things like that, and it's pretty much difficult trying to keep up with what they're actually saying or meaning, because you're not used to that. And also because I'm in cashier, so understanding what customer is demanding, so it's pretty much difficult. So you'd have to be like, excuse me again, can you just say it again? And whenever, even if they say it just directly, I'm like, okay, do you mean this? So you have to be basically interpreting that again to yourself and the customer, so that you both understand, you don't make a mistake.
And I believe the general population in Canada is such that even if you ask something, oh, could you please repeat yourself, could you say it again, I'm sorry I didn't get it properly, they won't mind.
Yeah, of course, they're very polite.
They know that this country is all about immigrants, and people, even people who call themselves Canadian, somehow back in the history, a couple of 100 years ago, their ancestors also traveled from somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, so they're not, real Canadians as such we say. So maybe they themselves or their, forefathers were in the state where we are today here.
Of course.
So that's why I think it's the openness in the country which makes it more welcoming.
That is right.
To people from all over the world, no matter what your skin color is, what culture you belong to, what language do you speak, what kind of food do you eat. Hey, they have open arms, and then that's a beauty of it. I know you mentioned that because you landed in, came in Surrey, and there was not a big of a cultural shock.
Yes, sir.
But now you have seen a bit more than Surrey as well in this year, and I'm sure quite a lot of it. If you were not in Surrey, and if I may take you, that imagine you landed in Richmond.
All right.
So what could have been your thought process at that time?
Maybe it was I would find difficulty finding right food. Yeah, because we have a couple of friends in Richmond, and they're always like, oh, you guys are so lucky. But here I don't find any of the foods that match my palate, like Indian or Nepalese. They don't find it because they would just only, most of the time they would find Asian kind of foods. So which is not much to our liking, very much bland. So food, something like that. And secondly would be also, again, the housing prices would be kind of similar, but still more expensive in Richmond in compared to Surrey. And then coming on to the languages, pretty much because it's an Asian, mostly they're populated by Asians, so languages, and they, according to them, because now I put myself in them, and also language, because mostly Asian, from people from Hong Kong or even Korea or Japan.
China.
So China.
A lot of Chinese population is in Richmond.
So that's why, because they don't speak the language, they don't speak English, and they don't speak Chinese. So it will be very difficult for them to even communicate even at the local stores. That have been most of the problem. If I were.
So you think it was a right decision for you to come to start your new life phase in Surrey?
Of course, it's the best decision.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get out of this is that if you are from the Far Asian side like China, Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, for example,
Yeah.
even those countries, then I think Richmond could be it's a little expensive, a bit more dearer than Surrey, but that could be the right community to come into it, so you will not have this homesickness feeling
That's
from
right.
day one, and it could last for so many months.
Of course.
Okay, and being in a good college like Western Community College, and then part of this Surrey, community, wider community as well. Have you joined any students' clubs or organizations, or have you thought of joining any of those kind of opportunities or places?
To be honest, I have joined the student council of my own college.
Okay,
and
you have one.
Yeah,
Okay.
in WCC, which is amazing as it provides exposures. For an example, last I would say a couple months back, it's just not the council but my college. I'm really grateful for that opportunity too. That we had this lunch with the tourism minister of Canada, and
wow.
Miss Soraya Farada. So it was what a lovely opportunity that not a lot of people to get that. So I'm really thankful for my college.
So that was the student council platform which provided you this opportunity.
As the student council as well as our college in general, of course.
Right.
And the student council, it just gives us an opportunity to organize different programs, to be in charge of those, and to pass the voices of people just who cannot generally be open to the management,
Yeah.
because student council acts as a bridge between the management and the students. So it's a wonderful opportunity, I would say, and it has moreover developed me as a person in my leadership. If I have some role or qualities,
I'm
it
sure.
has definitely developed me being the part of that council. Yes.
And having a lunch with the Minister
Yes,
of
sir.
Tourism,
Yes.
studying hospitality management
Yes, sir.
in one of the prestigious private colleges or institutes in BC.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a great opportunity that your college is giving students such opportunities.
Of
Now,
course.
imagine you've been still in Nepal,
Yeah.
maybe studying in one of the good universities,
Yes.
this similar hospitality management program. What were the chances for you to have a lunch with your minister?
None. Maybe none.
Right. So that's a great opportunity.
That
as well.
is definitely one of the opportunities. Maybe until like really long time in my life, I would always be grateful for my college, because it's one of the rarest opportunities that a tourism minister in a country like this, like such a developed country, how lucky you are.
Yeah.
Of course.
And how open they are
Of course.
to sit with students, international students,
Of course.
which they are not even sure that after they complete their education will be
their
settling
country, of
down and
course.
building their career here in Canada, or they will simply go back to their home countries.
Of course.
So, and then yet been very open, very motivating,
Welcoming, yes,
welcoming.
exactly.
Wonderful. You see, these are the opportunities, guys. You can have as an international student here. And again, I think the credit goes to your institute
Of
as well.
course. I'm really grateful for them.
Yep, definitely. Now, talking about this, adaptation and different cultural platforms. What's your advice for people looking at to become an international student and come for studies to Canada? What's your advice to them? If I just face you to the camera now.
I would say that okay, I'll just remembering my journey. I was pretty much kind of anxious, always nervous that okay, how it's gonna be, what am I gonna do? I don't have my parents, and I was like, maybe I should I should try this skill or learn this skill, like maybe driving or even cooking or something like that, so that I could get a job faster, something like that. But it's a different part that I didn't get any skills. I can do that, but of course when you guys come here as an international student, you can definitely learn some skills, like for example, might be barista, or not even if you don't want to learn any skill like me, you can always be very positive about your attitudes. I think that is what matters the most. Your patience is going to be tested, of course, yes, and because you won't, not everything will be the way you want, and it's definitely out of your comfort zone, so you have to be prepared for that and just don't give up. Have a positive attitude and things gonna fall right into place, and just remember your dream and always work for that. Because it's gonna be worth it. I know, like, still I'm not in the place to be saying this, but I know that it's going to be worth it, because if I look back a year back, how I was and how I am, as I told you,
it must be a huge difference.
Of course.
In two Ritekas.
Of course.
The Nepalese version of Riteeka and now Canadian version of Riteeka.
Of course, because the change in attitude, in thinking that like everything's going to be, like you don't have to worry. Because when I didn't have a job, I was always constantly be looking at the places, or looking, like, like writing down the phone numbers of the employers, searching online everywhere. But I did find it eventually when I just went through, right? So if you're capable, and of course you are, when you have a positive attitude, when you want to work, and when you have this commitment, when you just know that you want to do certain things and you're sure about that, you'll definitely do things and you don't have to worry much. And this is an amazing place where they're welcoming people, very polite people, and very lovely places. And it's going to be a life-changing journey that's going to lead you to the better version of yourself that you're going to thank yourself for. Because I do thank myself that it is although okay, I don't credit Justin Bieber much, but
I like that you brought Justin Bieber flavor at the end as well.
Because he was my initial motivation that I'm gonna marry this guy.
Yeah, somehow, even if it is a little bit, but some credit has to be given to this young singer, isn't it?
Of course, but definitely he got married, and he I don't like him much now. But
far less chances.
But of course, I love my journey, and for the Canada, it is for the wonderful institution I am, or whether it be my employer, and regardless of any ups and downs, any of the hassles I have right now still, like my travel time to my work, or my difficulty juggling between my work and my attendance sheets, right, maintaining that. But I really love this. I'm so grateful I'm here, and I have this attitude that okay, it's gonna work, I'm gonna do it.
I'm sure if you have a go-getter attitude, you just need to fine-tune yourself.
Of course.
Once you are in line with your new challenges, the new lifestyle, which you opted for.
Yes.
Because it wasn't, somebody else's decision in your case that pushed you. Your mom or dad has pushed you to go in and face all these challenges. It was your own decisions. So when we make our own decisions, we must stand by those. I think we're almost at the end of our interview, and viewers, thank you very much for sticking to this long interview. If you are still here from the start, a big thank you to you, a salute rather. Okay, and here comes the last question.
Yes, sir.
I know you're studying hospitality management, and it's not a certificate, not a diploma, it's a bachelor's degree program, and a 3 years commitment.
Yes.
Now, if I may ask you, what are your future plans once you graduated? Would you like to stay in Canada for maybe a few years, a short time, to gain Canadian experience and reach to like 3-4 years, 5 years, entry level or mid management level, and then probably could go back and start your career with a big bang? Or what are the plans? Please share with our audience here.
Of course, with the kind of education I'm getting, I'm always grateful for my provider, for my college, that just not only the practical exposure, but also the instances I shared, that they bring it to enrich us with amazing experiences, right? So I believe that my future is bright with the kind of college I am with and the kind of education I'm getting. So I'm very much excited. So when I'm just graduating, just pushing my hat off and just running towards my dream. So I'm just excited for that. And I believe that I would definitely stay here for quite some time. I would definitely, as I told you, I see my dream standing in downtown Vancouver when I see those high buildings.
Big brands, yeah.
Of course. So I would love to be in the managerial positions because I want to explore that. That has been my dream. As I told you, when I was pretty much young, I saw my mom cooking. Of course, I'd want to do that too, but now I just want to flaunt a coat and be a good manager. And I believe that being a manager does not just come with, again, flaunting a coat or being just so much easy. It has a lot of challenges. I want to be prepared for that. Firstly, I want to spend some time here, and when I'm just also I just do plan on doing a master's degree as well. Maybe would be MBA or even masters in hospitality, so that I would gain to more of an exposure of in the depth of learning. Yes,
absolutely.
I would love to do that too.
Wonderful.
And yes, maybe, and after some while when I'm just in my managerial roles, I would love to get back to my home country and imply those of the skills I've learned here, because those developing country where I come from,
they need the modern touch.
Yes, they do. They do, of course. I want to imply my skills there and just also serve my motherland once again.
Absolutely. So, why not? Why not? So that's I think all about today's interview, guys. I'm sure you have enjoyed it, and as an interviewer, I thoroughly enjoyed it, sitting with Riteeka and talking about her experience and her struggle and her journey. And I'm sure there are a lot of things for you guys who are maybe thinking or planning already to come to Canada as an international student or in any other capacity, what the life is all about here in Canada. So keep watching. And if you are happy and you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and do give me a feedback. How did you like this interview? I could have missed a lot of questions or something is in your mind which I may not have asked Riteeka about it. For our future interviews with other international students or industry leaders as well as upcoming, I could include those ones. So please do share your comments and those kind of suggestions with me. And if any of your friends who is interested in this kind of content, like this one, like interview, or because my channel is all about travel, people, culture, food. So if any of your friends or in social circle are interested in such content, please do share these videos with them, and let's grow it to make the things go further. Thank you very much once again for sticking it till this time, and I owe you a big thank you, Riteeka.
So do I, sir. I enjoyed it so much.
And I absolutely enjoyed the interview as well. It didn't feel like that, although I have written a set of questions, but it didn't feel like that I was interviewing somebody. It was like a kind of a normal conversation we had in a beautiful stadium, or a incomplete walking track in front of us, which I will show you guys in a minute. And I think this is the time to say goodbye to all of us. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
And don't forget, I'm going to show you around where we are sitting at the moment. Okay?
It's a beautiful place.
Okay.